Sanjita from 3rd semester and Shulagna Chakraborty from 7th semester. And the names of the members of Team B are Samprikta Brahma from 9th semester, Shirsha Mitra from 5th semester, Saugat Kumar Tiwari from 3rd semester, Bidushi Purkai from 1st semester and Dipon Chakraborty from 7th semester. First speaker of Team A will start the argument and then it will be over to the first speaker of Team B and then second speaker of Team A, and it will continue like this, okay? And each speaker will get 4 minutes for argument. After completion of 3 minutes, they will get a warning, and after the final call, their time will be up and they will have to stop, right? The participants must argue in English language only. After completion of argument, 2 questions will be taken from Team A for Team B and vice versa. And most importantly, participants are strictly instructed not to interrupt while other speakers are speaking. Okay, so let's start. Who is going to start from Team A?
An eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind. Did Gandhiji know that in the near future, this eye is going to be blinded? An eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind. And I hope that Gandhiji did not know that in the near future, this eye is going to be blinded, that he was so busy protesting for. Hi, I am Sanjita from 3rd Sem, and I am speaking for the motion that emphasizing on human rights is going to be a threat to the national security. The Office of the High Commissioner said that human right is a right that humans are entitled to due to their birth as a human. I know recently we've had a seminar on capital punishment and how we shouldn't be framing and naming a prisoner as demons, but someone who is entitled with a deed that is so out of the human spectrum that they have infringed the right of another person's right to life can be possibly called human. Liberty is itself the gift of law and may by the law be forfeited and abridged. There's a reason why this line exists, because if in a deliberative democracy like that of India, we are going to focus on giving the proper rights and human rights on everyone, then terrorism is going to spread like no other bee. Terrorism defies all established norms of dignity, decency and decorum mandatory for peaceful existence of any society. And as a society, we should never defend terrorism and use human rights as a scapegoat for it. When we think of national security threats to India, we think of insurgency, of terrorism, of untouchability, of many other forms of it. Any wrongdoing, any infringement of rights of the other person is an hindrance to national security. The Article 19 gives us the right to have freedom of speech. But the Article 19 Clause 4 also gives us the right to know the reason for reasonable resistance. The word reasonable resistance has been clearly stated because of reasons like this. Because there might be times when we cannot be speaking for human rights, when the national security, when the entire state is in a havoc. With this, I would like to question my opposition team one thing. Do you think, is it true, that human rights matter so much that even at a time when something like the 2611 or something like the recent killings that have been taken places, is it true that at that time human rights really matter and national security should be our main concern? Why one person might suffer for the entire world? This is not where everything is going right.
So, liberty is itself the gift of the law and may by the law be forfeited or abridged, as stated earlier by the proposition team as well. So, I, Bidushi Purkai, from 1st semester, am going to speak against the motion, which is emphasis on human rights is affecting national security in India. So, first of all, we need to know that what actually human right is. Human rights are rights which are actually given to all human beings, irrespective of their caste, culture, creed, sex, or any other such criteria. Now, it includes freedom of speech, freedom of opinions, freedom from slavery or torture. Now, the international human rights law states certain obligations on the government where they are said that what acts they have to do and what are they refrain from in order to protect and promote the human rights of the people of the nation. Now, if we come to the matter of national security is the first and foremost thing which a government will always think on, right? And in a stable democracy, national security does not only concern the military of the country, it also speaks about the stability and security of the economy and the citizens of the country. However, if we see the present scenario, there are so many cases where the human rights are being violated by the government in the name of security. You may say that those cases where the human rights have been violated by the government, those have been taken to the courts in order to get justice. But if you see them really very closely, either they are affecting a huge number of people of the society as a whole, or it is of very high profile nature. But what about the common people? Whenever it comes to the cases of the common people or the instances from the common people, those are not given any coverage, neither they are heard. Thus, with this, I would like to say thank you.
Name please. Introduce yourself.
Vidushi Purkai, introduce yourself.
I am Vidushi Purkai from first semester.
Okay, over to the second speaker of Team A.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I, Shulabna Chakraborty, am going to speak for the Council of the motion. Entitlement to basic right is a birth prerogative of every human. Speaking of human rights, it is pertinent to mention the freedom of movement. Human rights activists are always against the concept of arrest because they highlight this as a gross violation to the basic human rights, and they mentions the conditions after a person who is in custody, that is after arrest. I would like to mention in purview of pre and post duties of arrest that it is mentioned in the Code of Criminal Procedure, the duties after arrest, that the person who is arrested should be given knowledge of the grounds of arrest, that is the arrest warrant should be provided. Think of a person who has committed a grave and serious offense, roaming around us freely, or who has committed murder. Isn't it a threat to the national security? In the case of Anish Kumar versus State of Bihar, it was mentioned that arrest is necessary because of the three things specifically. First, it prevents the person from tampering of evidence. It prevents the person from committing further offense. And lastly, it helps in making further investigation. In the case of physical and military security, I would like to emphasize on Article 19 of UDHR, which says freedom of expression, because this poses a threat to the national security, which possesses a threat to the national security, because you can say that the nuclear forces, or the nuclear powers that is shown up by the superpowers is questioning and a brow-raising factor for the state like India. Lastly, I would like to conclude my speech by saying that the theory of the national security is not bounded only to the the physical or the military security. Rather, it has various aspects such as cyber security, communal harmony, economy, nuclear issues, food security, terrorism, and many more. So for this, the union and the state has to work hand in hand to maintain the peace and harmony. Lastly, I would like to say that emphasizing on human rights is
One more minute.
Emphasizing on human rights is a resolution. Is rather not a resolution. Rather, considering human rights and taking necessary action or the steps accordingly will never pose a threat to the national security. Thank you.
Mention your name once again.
My name is Shulabna Chakraborty from 7th semester.
Okay. Over to the second speaker of Team B.
Good afternoon to everyone present here. My name is Dipan Chakraborty and I'm from 7th Sem, and I'll be the second speaker for the opposition against the motion, which is emphasis on human rights is a threat to national security. May I continue?
Yeah.
I have split my argument into a bunch of points. The first one of them is, the human right is given to a person by his virtue of being a human. Now, if a nation, any nation, decides to take it away according to its needs, then the humans itself, the citizens which constitute a very nation, they are not going to be secure. The thing that I would like to highlight here is that how integrity of the masses is national. It is like it's a tantamount to national security itself. If a person in the country does not feel secure, if a person in the country has to live under the fear of getting randomly murdered by the government any day, or his opinions or his speech being suppressed by the governments any day according to the needs of the government or the country itself, then it's very natural that national security itself is harmed, because the cause of the citizen is the nation's basic security itself. Now, we already know how in 1905 the British government used divide and rule to break Bengal into two parts. Now, if the people of a country are itself conflicted and they are in a trouble and they are always under the pressure of their basic rights not being addressed, it's very natural that is the threat to national security in the first place, that the people of the country, they don't feel safe in their country. Any other country offering this can easily, like, now if I am someone who lives under the fear that my government does not respect my rights, I am not safe in my own country, then if some other country offers me the same thing, look here, your country does not offer this, why don't you come over to our place? I mean, I know it does not work like that, whatever. If there is a better country, I would easily move on there and I would abandon my own country. It's natural human instinct. We are not talking about patriotism here, but it's natural human instinct that if I don't feel safe somewhere, I move out of there. The second point that I would like to bring up here is an instance. I would like to highlight how people who work in the national intelligences, they are tasked, or they take their own, they give up their human rights to protect their nation. They are under very heavy pressure of giving up their life or not speaking under the toughest conditions when they are pressurized. Are their human rights not respected? Are they not humans, my friends? It's like, the point that I would like to highlight here is it's case sensitive. People are ready, like we already have, the constitution provides provisions where it might take away the human rights when needed. Now, I still don't understand how it's a question that the protection of human rights or the emphasis on human rights, if I say rather, is a threat to the national security.
1 more minute.
I would like to conclude because I have only very little time. It's a very popular saying that one man does not step into the same river twice. Either the river moves, the river changes, or the man stepping into it does. Now, I mean, it's my opinion, I don't understand why we need a system that deprives a human of the basic human rights that a person needs to live in order to deliver national justice or national security. I would correct myself. Why must we deprive a man or a woman, whatever, of their rights, of their human rights, which is their basic essence of life, in order to secure national security? Isn't that the breach of national security itself? I would like to end here. Thank you.
Your name once again?
My name is Dipan Chakraborty. I'm from 7th Sem.
Okay, thank you.
Next speaker from team A.
We all know that to enforce proper law and enforcement, we need to we need to protect our citizens and also punish the other who does such inhuman acts. Hi everyone, I am Navid Janim Islam from 5th semester and I am going to talk about national security. So as we know that we are surrounded by so many people and we don't know what they're gonna do. We all know that there are some good people, there are some bad people with bad mentality. I mean, even here, there can be someone who has a bad mentality and they can do anything, like for example, like suicide bombing or a rapist, but we never know. So, like, when the criminals are caught, we must punish them, because if we don't punish them, then people will dare to do it again and again and again. And it will continue, and the process of giving punishment, there are laws, there are capital punishments and also life imprisonment. And I think it's completely okay, because if you don't punish them, people will dare such act again and again, and you can't do anything about it. Especially the left radical portray our armed forces like they are very cruel and gross, because they just punish and torture if they caught a spy or they caught a criminal. I mean, they are literally giving everyone the human rights themselves. They are providing the human rights themselves, even the security. I mean, how can you be so much for a guy who is doing such inhuman acts, but you are against a guy who is saving us from all those inhuman acts and giving them punishment so that it doesn't happen? Like, we have our army who is protecting us 24/7 hours in our borders. We have our police who are looking at the cities and controlling the traffic and other criminal activities. Why are we portraying them as like criminals and like they are the one who are doing such cruel acts, while the other enjoys and are like enjoying saying and are getting bailed out because of human rights? Here are some incidents I want to highlight. Like in 26/11, Ajmal Kasab killed at least 170 people in Taj Hotel, and he later got death penalty, which was like in my opinion, it was a good thing. In 2000, it was Afzal Guru, which he was the mastermind behind 2001 Parliament attack. In 1993, it was Mumbai bomb blast, and Dawood Ibrahim escaped India, but Yaqub Menon was like, he got death penalty because there were 216 deaths. In Nirbhaya 2012, 3 men raped 1 woman in bus, and the 3 of them were convicted for like death penalty.
1 more minute.
And I like to highlight that there was an incident. It was a plane hijack in 1999. It was IC-814, where Maulana Masood Hazar was freed because of human rights activists pressuring the government to release him, because he has done nothing and it's cruel to take action against him. While there were 3 flight attendants who died and 17 were injured. So I want to conclude that capital punishment should be given to each and one of them, and the left radical who are saying that human rights are for the ones who have done such inhuman acts is completely a cringe moment.
Okay, your name?
My name is Navid Janim Islam.
Next one from team B.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Shishyo Mitro from 5th semester, Kolkata Police Law Institute. First of all, when I am speaking against the motion, I want to say that human rights are not a thing contradictory with the national security. Because human rights and national security are both the parts of the safety and the potential, increasing potential of the people of a nation. In case of India, when we are talking about national security is when we are talking about that human rights is a threat for national security, I think it's a very wrong idea, because after all, human rights, it's also about the rights and needs of the mass. Human rights are something which are not if these rights are not be implemented, these rights are not be guaranteed by a state, then a person can't be an asset for the nation. And in the opposite side, we are talking about national security, and national security doesn't include only the physical territorial security. Actually, it also includes the safety and the safety of the people, the safety of the territory, economic safety, cyber security, and everything like that. Some of the cases about which we can say that our national security has been in problem, but not for the human rights. How many cases of that? How many cases you can say? It's my question to the opposition party, that how many times you can say that a person is a real threat for the nation, for the whole nation, for the human rights. We can say about the preventive measures laws like National Security Act and many laws like UAP, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, where in Unlawful Activities Prevention Act in section 15 we can find that a confession to the police can be acceptable as an evidence in the court. So these type of things which are really violating the main statutes of our country and the Constitution of India. So these type of things should not be happen in the country, like in a democratic country, because there are many rights, like
1 more minute.
There are many type of rights in our country, like rights to privacy, right to life, right to education and all. So we should talk about them. If government doesn't guarantee these rights to us, we have to speak against the government, and it's our right, and it's our democratic and democratic right. And when we are talking about our democratic rights, most of the time, in the name of national security, the government is trying to suppress the voice. This happens. This is not happening today. This is happening from the time of emergency. So I have to conclude my point. So I want to say that after all, it's all about the human being and personal activities. Thank you.
Your name once again?
My name is Shirshu Mitra from 5th semester.
Okay. The last speaker from Team A.
Good afternoon to the judges and everybody present over here. I am Shovan Bishwash from 1st Sem, and I will be speaking for the motion. Now, as the last speaker of the motion, I would like to conclude our arguments. Over the time, India has been under the threat of terrorism, and it has severely affected our country's integrity and sovereignty. The terrorist activities in Jammu and Kashmir, the Naxalism in the heartland, and the insurgencies in the northeastern states of Assam, Manipur, Nagaland has really affected the country. Now, over the time, India has suffered many such instances which we can say India has suffered from many terrorist activities. Now, I want you all to know that human rights is not an abstract idea that we should always put in front. Like if human rights cannot be nurtured, protected and preserved until there is national security in a country. Now the idea of national security is not to safeguard the individual rights, but to protect the right of the individuals as a collectivity. To safeguard the sovereignty and integrity, to maintain law and order in a country. Now my friends have mentioned the point that the security personnel that are working in the borders, what about their human rights? Now let me point out that if there is no security personnel or our brave soldiers protecting the borders, there cannot be a national security, and we will be threat under the foreign insurgencies. Now, I would like to say that I condemn the human right that is restricting our soldiers from taking strict action against the terrorists, against the person who are doing the heinous activities in our country. I would like to condemn the human right which is calling the activities, the mob handling of the police as police brutality. Because it is a necessity that they take the stringent actions to to maintain the law and order in a country. You cannot place human right as an excuse to just get over this. Now we want human right to preserve to persist in our society, but the emphasis has truly affected the national security of our country. Thank you.
Your name?
My name is Shovan Vishwas and I am from First Sun.
Okay, and over to the last speaker of Team B.
Good afternoon everyone, my name is Saugat Kumar Tiwari and I am from 3rd semester. I will give you a historical background. Mexico in medieval era had tribals named ethics.
So before I declare the results, I would thank our guests. They have taken out their time to judge the event and I'm really grateful to them. Like they have such busy schedule, despite their schedule, they have come and they have judged the event. Next, I would also like to thank our participants. I'm really thankful to you all because we all know that you have your internal exams, hitting around the corner. And despite that, you have taken this initiative and you came here and spoke on that topic, human rights. Well, thank God we have those rights. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been any difference between a human being and not being a human being. Okay, I would also request, now I would like to ask our guests and our judges to kindly come up on the stage and distribute the prizes, and also if they have some points, then they can just speak on that. So till now you don't know who's the winner, right? No, hold on, it's not an individual thing, it's a team. So till now you don't know who's the winner, so Team the B. Winner is... Any guesses?
Team B.
Yes, it's Team B.
Yeah!